Hello everybody, Dren608 here. This is another quick stream of the Unconditional Surrender CUCU strategy, affectionately known as CUCU. This is my solo playthrough using the Board Game Arena module. So I'm showing off Board Game Arena implementation of Unconditional Surrender, as well as an interesting strategy line that the Axis can take. I've had a fairly good response with the Western allies, although, well, we'll get into it a little bit more in a little bit. If you like what you see, hit the thumbs up button. Really like what you see, go ahead and subscribe. Hit the notify button. You'll be notified whenever I schedule another stream and or I upload videos. It has been a while. Real life just kind of gets in the way. So I can't get these out on a steady basis. Wish I could. We are going into June of 1944. We have fair weather in the mild zone, which is where France and stuff is. Another poor weather turn in the Soviet Union. The German position has basically been rescued by a continuous stream of either poor or severe weather since the Soviets rejoined the war. The Germans did knock them out in 1942, and at the end of 43, beginning of 44, the Soviets came back in. However, it's been either severe or poor weather in the Soviet Union every turn. Now, usually it is through like January, February, March, and April, but both May and June have been poor weather, which is cutting down the Soviet offensive potential. The Germans are stretched very thin in the east because of some of the stuff that's going on here in the Mediterranean. However, we'll just go ahead and get into it. I'm not going to start any more wars here with either of them. The Germans have 38 production points. They don't have to, but they're going to give one to the Turks, because that's where the Italians rather, because that's where a lot of offensive stuff was going to happen. It is poor weather here in the Mediterranean, so I don't think I need to give the Turks an extra point. They have 3. I think that's enough. I could be wrong. The Yugoslavs are doing a lot of maneuvering on the Eastern Front, so I am going to give them one, and I am going to give one to the Romanians because I might have to move both of their units. I'm not sure yet. The Finns, the Turks, and the Spanish, I think, are all fine. The Soviets are not making a huge push to take on Finland. If they'd had a couple of fair weather turns, that might have been a different story, but looks like they're only going to have a guarantee of 3 fair weather turns in 1944, and they have got to make headway towards Germany, because Germany has 78 will, and even if you knocked out 10 armies of the Germans, they still would have 68 will, which means you're going to have to capture all their cities. Okay, so that's what they do. Strategic warfare, the Germans have been doing really well at this. They're only at 2 lost factories at the middle of 1944. And as the Soviets, I'm +4 to his +3. I'm loath to use my partisans this late because I really want to have them to help me with my surprise attack marker and making breakthroughs in the fair weather turn. So I'm going to actually save the partisan. The Germans are like, I'm only down 2 factories. I'm not going to waste it on the Soviets. So nobody commits. And Germany gets a factory back, and the Soviets don't lose one. In the West, the only thing they have left to play is the partisans. And the Germans do have their subs, but again, they're only down 1 and they're ahead, +5 to +2. So they're not going to commit. And again, the West wants to keep their partisans in order to be able to help them with invasions and other breakthrough stuff. So no, they're not going to commit. And there we are. So Germany's going to be at full production next turn, which is 15 minus 1. So it's going to be 14 plus 6. So they're going to be up to 40 production points in July of 1944. In my personal opinion, it's going to take a vast amount of extreme luck for the Allies to win this. One of the reasons is that I got excited with the West when I succeeded in my Suez invasion, and I brought in a lot of power here. I have an airplane down here. I have 2 full British armies down here, and one of their garrisons. a fleet and 2 convoys for supply along with the airplane. On the other side in French North Africa, we have the Americans, and then we have the 3rd British Real Army holding on to Tangier because they took Gibraltar so late in 1943. And there's the entire British Army is in the Mediterranean. What does that mean? Well, it means I probably can do whatever I want in the summer of 1944. I can probably take back Gibraltar and knock out Italy, and that sounds great. But it is the summer of 1944. You're only going to get maybe 2. If you're really lucky, you'll get 3 fair weather turns in places like France and Germany, and you will have no presence in France or Germany because all your stuff is down here. So this was sort of a sucker punch that I didn't realize I'd fallen into. I should have been paying attention to how much I was committing. So I'm now in a quandary of I thought I would get this done faster, and I didn't. So just by hanging on a little bit here, I have stretched the British and American armies to the point where they really are not a major threat. If they were to try and come across in France here, the Germans most likely can kick them right back off of beaches. So it's something to think about. Sometimes what you're doing in other places can make a huge difference. For a strategic move, I really don't have one with the Germans. Do I have any miners that I need to move around? Well, he does have a couple of... He doesn't have anybody on ports here. So no worries about invasions into moving forward. Because it's poor weather. Any Italians to move? I thought about moving this Italian from Gabe's to Tobruk. Then I thought about it again, and I said, as long as I'm here, that American can't really go anywhere. I mean, I could, if I wanted to, I could move this Italian, could rail up to here, woohoo, and cut off his supply, woohoo. But he's at full supply this turn, so he just walked down and take Gabe's. I don't have the units in North Africa, nor can I supply the units in North Africa to deal with this. So I don't see anything there. I suppose if I really needed to, what have I got to build this turn with the Germans? Just a German infantry. Because my defense of Italy, Sicily and stuff is very, very poor. But he doesn't have a lot on ports to actually take advantage of it. So I'm going to take a risk. I am going to take an Italian infantry. And we're going to move that over into the east because I am really woefully short of ground units here to be in reserve. Down here in the south. I'm in danger of losing a German infantry here. Was that the 14th? The 14th. And the 3rd Panzer. If I do that, then I'm not going to have a lot of ground units to try and form a line next turn. I wanted to move this Yugoslav up to here. So I think I want to put Italian here. Yeah, I think I put the Italian here. I don't know. I'm guessing here. Yeah, that's what we'll do. In the west, Unfortunately, this is poor weather, so even though he's -4, I'm -3. 4 because of the city. Or -1 for me, -1 for the city, -1 for the... I'm -3 and he's -4. So, odds of me pushing him out of Baghdad, very low. Meanwhile, until I can get him out of Baghdad, I can't get to Kuwait and Basra. So that's annoying. Can't do a lot with the Second Army against the Turks. 8th Army can try and beat on the Panzer, so I can't move them. Americans are not on a rail line, so I can't just give up on North Africa and head back to Europe. And I don't want to just give him Tangier. It's not until after, like, I've got an invasion set up, like in France here on Brittany Peninsula or something, that I might give him Tangier just to reinforce that and try and push across France. You know, it doesn't look like I have anything for the West. Nope. Pretty sure I don't have any strategic moves for the West. For the Soviets, that's another question. What do I have going on with the Soviets? Da 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 da. I don't think I really have anything for the Soviets. Yeah, most of their stuff is like at the front line. So no, we don't really have anything for the Soviets either. So we're done with them. Germans have to do their actions. Okay, well, first thing is to try and see if we can get a retreat route for this guy. See, he's going to be 1 for shock and 1 for an airplane, so he'll be 2. I could be 3, 4, 5. 5 to 2 should get a retreat, although he'll probably just push back on the Italians, but okay. So we're going to do assault, and assault, and he will be the primary. I'm not going to throw in the tanks or the heavy artillery. Heavy artillery I might use down here, I'm not sure at this point. But I want to save the Italian tanks for when he's coming back at me. So I'll at least be a +1 and maybe survive. So we're at a +4 to his +1. Who's this, the first air? Let's use the first air, since it's right there at the front. So he's a +2 and I'm a +4. Yeah, I forgot about the -1 for the bad weather. Well, let's see if we can get a retreat. And we do. Ooh, I got a defender disrupted. Too bad I don't have anything to follow it up with and eliminate it. So we're just going to move the Italian in there. He's going to attack me at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's going to attack me at like +5 to +1. Probably get a DD back, but the Italians are really here to support the Germans at this point, not the Germans supporting the Italians to keep them in the war. I've kept them in the war this long. That's the whole point, is to have these units like in 1944 to help me flesh out my line. Let's see, I was going to do shenanigans here. So the German 6th is going to move here and attack this guy. And before I forget, the 7th moves here. Officially says he's going to attack that guy. And then this Yugoslavian unit goes here and just sits. Okay, once again, not the greatest line in the world, but it's a line of sorts. Now I have to try and figure out if I can get a way to get this armored unit freed up. And this is where I was thinking of possibly sacrificing some assets here. Because I could bring this airplane 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I fly this airplane to here, and I attack with this infantry unit as well. Now we would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It'd be +5. Alright, so we're going to go here. And we're going to commit the airplane in this. Soviets looking at this have this airplane way in the back that they've been kind of using up for support. So he's a 1 right now, and the best he could get would be here. So it'd be +5 to +3. And if you look at the combat results table, what is it? 6, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16 and 36 that he gets at least a retreat. It takes away some of my offensive potential, but hey, this is all poor weather anyway, so you know, we're just trying to get another hex pushback on the Germans to have a better position for fair weather in July. Maybe I can sneak off a trap of the armor. If I can leave this guy in place in full strength, then I can possibly pull off a trap on the armor, and you know, great. Now, if the Germans were to go ahead and throw in their tank here, they'd have a really good chance. But I'm strongly suspecting the West is going to try to land at Brest and possibly the other port in Spain to help them with the strategic warfare. So I'm holding the tanks in reserve basically for the West. And if the West doesn't do anything, then they'll be available for giving me a +1 in defense here in the East. So, kind of a shoestring operation. I think the Soviets really want to hold that hex. So I'm committing everything I can. All right, there we go. We commit. There should be an air combat. Now, I could throw in my jets. But I think my jets are going to be more important against the British because at this, with -3, we can't stop each other. Even if I had my jets, it would be highly unlikely that I would stop him from getting in because you got to get a DD result. So there's no point in wasting the asset here. So, you know, we're probably both going to take, we both take some things. And I got what I wanted. I got a 9. He got a grand total of a 6, just enough to get a defender retreat. That's what I needed to see. Because now, the armored unit will assault here. And throw in the airplane, so I'm +3. He's a -1. Now the question becomes, do you waste the assets? This is always a hard thing for the Soviets to try and decide. If I throw in the tank and I throw in the airplane, great, I might very well hold the hex because I'll be a +1 to his +3. If I don't hold the hex, then I've used up a tank and another aircraft. Now the aircraft is not so important because I've got 5 of them and almost all of them are at full sorties. So I have plenty of air power to go around for anything I want to try and do. The question really is those tank markers, because those things will help guards armies or even regular old junky infantry like this become +2s in support of various assaults. Like right here, this guy here, he's 1 for armor, 1 for elite in poor. So he's a 2. This guy in support is a 2. And if you put a tank marker on him, he's in support of a 2. That would be 6. Throwing an airplane is 7. -1 is 6. I'd be +6 to +2. Maybe +3 if he throws in a tank. You know, +6 to +3 is a pretty good chance of at least taking the hex, which is the whole point of what I'm trying to do down here. I'm trying to get hexes, hex rows, if at all possible. You're trying to push forward so that when fair weather does come, you have a good jumping off point. You do have to be a little bit careful in that if your fair weather comes and your strongest units are in the very front line, like the guards, tanks armies, a lot of times the Germans will concentrate on those to try and flip them. and or the shock armies, because if you can flip those guys, they aren't nearly as scary when it's the Soviet turn later. The Soviets will probably still make ground, but maybe not as much as they would if those guys were at full strength. So it's all a balancing act. The way I play the Soviets at this point, the first defense failed. I'm not going to throw these 2 tank markers away because I have places up here where those tanks markers could very well become important, especially like down along here in this row line here. So no, but I will throw the airplane in because that's what I've been using the Kursk airplane for, is this kind of stuff. So it's +3 to 0. And we go ahead and commit because we'll have another air battle. Yeah, nobody's going to commit any extra stuff. Air battle's a 1+1. And see, he rolled well enough. Even if I'd had the extra +1, I'd only been a 2, so I would have failed. So it's better that I didn't do it. And then the armor gets to move there, so now it has another supply line out here. He is going to, if he can get a 3-hex attack on me and probably push me back, but I have a coherent line. I can't put anybody in that space that's worthwhile. I mean, I could throw a Yugoslav in there, but that would just be like, have a dead Yugoslav. And I still might. I still might just say, no, here, go have this. Because, I mean, I could take this Romanian. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, I probably will throw that Romanian in there. And you say, why would you throw that Romanian in there? Well, he's a garrison. He's not going to cost me any will points. Number 1. Number 2, there's no Soviet transport down here, so I don't have to worry about invasions. Problem is I can't really use him to do that because I have to stay within 3 of Romania, so I can't do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. However, I might very well throw this Yugoslavian garrison in there. Again, they'll blow him away. But it's better than letting him just move into here. Make him spend a couple, he has to spend 2 production points, say, to have this guy attack in an airplane to guarantee that he blows up the -2 guy in poor weather with a retreat. That's 2 production points in an airplane sortie that he doesn't get other times of the year. Now, I do not want to stay where I can get my head chopped off, so I'm going to actually fly all the way back to there and say I'm done with that. Now the question becomes, do I try to hang on to the rows or go ahead and retreat? For my money, since it's poor weather, it's, boo-ha-ha, we're going to try and hold on for 1 more turn. This assault was a false flag. We're not going to do that. Now down here, you're going to see me do something that I just realized that would happen to me if I stay here. With the Germans, I'm going to spend a couple points, and I'm going to back up. And you go, you're going to what? This armored unit is kind of screwed anyway, right? Sooner or later, he's going to cut off my supply, and I'm just going to die on the vine. However, if I'm in Libya, he can't use, there's a bugger, this little green thing called the partisans. I would make my armor a 2 instead of 4, because it's always fair weather down here. So it'd only be +2, and he could attack me like +5 to +2 on the first time, probably get a DD, flip me, move me back. Now I'm still only +2, and then he could like eliminate the armored unit and just push on. So rather than trying to hang on to Egypt, because I'm not going to win there, I'm just going to go hide behind this ridge. I can't remember which is that. Is that Haifa Ridge there? I don't know. We should name these ridges. But by sitting there, he can't use his partisans on me. His armor's got to go like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and his airplane's got to move up. So that's 6, 7, and that lets me still retreat down with a road supply line here, and I can just sort of retreat across Libya, kind of like how they did in 42, but it's 44 that I'm doing that. The armored unit is kind of pretty much out of the war. So I'm down to 4 real armored units instead of 5. I have 1 down here. But I'm also got tied up 3 British ground units and 1 American ground unit. You got to remember, the Americans only get 6 real armies. And the British have 3 real armies and then like 5 garrisons. So between the British and the Americans, they have 9 real armies. They have 6 fighter aircraft and 3 bombers. So technically, they have like 1 airplane for every army, if they really want to try and distribute them that way. Which sounds absolutely horrifying, except that it's 9 armies. That's 9 activations. At most, 9 times 5 is 45 attacks if they're right adjacent to somebody and it's fair weather and there's no horrible weather or anything else, which if you look in France, there's rivers and there's mountains, and then you get to Germany, there's forests and there's rivers. So it's not going to be that many attacks. It's probably going to be at best, I think the most attacks I got off with the Allies in a game was maybe 15 or 16 in one turn. And that was like in the spring of 45, where we were just attacking up and down the line here, trying to force a breakthrough across the Rhine and stuff. And into the forests here, the Ardennes and all that. So it was, I mean, there was a lot of attacks, but not a lot really happened with all the die rolls. So by having the British and the Americans, you know, there's 3 British and 1 American, that's 4 out of 9. So roughly half their strength is in the Mediterranean right now. And it's the summer of 44. The other half is basically here in England, 1, 2, 3, 4 full-strength armies, and the 5th one coming. So he can launch an invasion, but I also have a lot to at least contain it, if not shut it down. Okay. Now this airplane has been, he's kind of useless except for what he does. And what he does is he just goes and hits the British Bomber Command. I'm not going to use jets, just go get him. He's a -3, I'm a -2. Ta-da. Boom. And then he does it again. This is just to keep his bombing campaign. To be perfectly honest, I probably shouldn't have done it that way. What I probably should have done is tried to hit the 15th Air Force to cut down American sorties. But the British actually have to pay for their bombers, and the Americans don't. So we'll see if this was a good idea or a bad idea. Okay, as the Germans are down to 25 production points. They can Italians are not going to do much of anything, I don't think. Did I supply this guy? I suppose I could run this guy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe that's what I was thinking I was going to do. Is that I was going to rail him to Tripoli and move him from Gabes to Tripoli. I think if it had been fair weather in the Med, that's what I would have done. So I had somebody holding the fort and somebody holding Tripoli, because in fair weather he probably would get through here anyway. But because it's poor weather, I'm going to hold my ground. Got 12 points. That's going to be 3, 6, 9 probably. So I've got 3 more points, but I really don't have any shenanigans. Oh, by the way, for you Axis players that don't know, you see this guy sitting in Naples? It's better if it can be a full-strength infantry unit sitting in Naples, if you can figure out a way to do it, or a German unit. But somebody sits in Naples. Always somebody sits in Naples, and no one sits in Rome. He cannot invade directly into Rome. It's not a port. It's not adjacent to a port. However, if this thing is gone, he could invade adjacent to Naples because it's adjacent to a port, and then with his free move into Rome, which is 4 will points, which could very well collapse Italy and then open up, you know, easy invasions and running around and all sorts of terrible, horrible things that you don't want to have happen to you. So, yeah. Always leave somebody sitting in Naples and no one sitting in Rome. Keeps him from doing that. It's the same concept as this guy right here, home guard. Why has he spent almost the entire game sitting in that space? Because then the Germans can't land here or here, which is adjacent to the London port, and move a space in and take London. They can't do it. They got to fight this guy first because he's in his own control. So that's the concept behind some of these. You'll see me do this with the Germans a little bit later when the Allies can possibly get a 2C zone invasion into C zone 12. You'll see a garrison unit sitting in this space right here. Because if he lands in either of these spaces, he can't just advance into the ports. He's got to actually fight me. Now, if he wants to spend 2 surprise attack markers to push me out of that space and then invade and take another port, then I'm probably lost anyway if he can waste surprise attack markers like that, left and right and center. Usually I have to use those in a coordinated way in order to make them effective. So I really don't see anything else for the Germans to do. I could, at this point, back off my overwhelming air force in the west to try and shift some... Oh, this is the guy I forgot to move. Yes, I have to move the paratrooper. I was going to say, I should end up like 23 or something like that. Which, yeah, okay. Because I wasn't going to end up with a lot. Now, the line is kind of saggy in both directions, but I have to kind of figure out where I'm going to get in more trouble. I think I have a better chance because I have an infantry unit sitting here as a reserve. I have a better chance of shenanigans around units up here to form a coherent line in the poor weather than I do down here where it's going to be all... I've got poor terrain up there. I've got a river here, and then I don't have anything till I'm in Romania. So I'm going to send him towards the south. A lot of times I like to have him facing the west, but if I had that other armored unit, I would, because he would be down here, and this guy would actually be going into France. So I could pull another armored unit to the east. But I don't have that luxury, so he's going to have to do. All right. Now I think I'm done. I don't... Got a couple points for the Yugoslavs. I was thinking about doing this. Oh, do I want to just sacrifice that Yugoslav garrison? He's still going to take the hex, and then he's going to move this guy in anyway. So the question is whether it's worthwhile. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Can't get there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, let's see how far. Where can he go? So he can't really get into these lines. You don't want to put him here because then that forces he gets a easy breakthrough, and then he's sitting here cutting off, threatening to cut things off. We know it's going to be fair in July, so I have to kind of plan ahead to the idea that July is going to be, a redressing of the line kind of situation for the Germans. Because then we're going to be facing 3 fair weather turns in a row. In the east and everywhere else. What can we do? What can we do? What can we do? Part of me likes to stick garrisons in places like this just to annoy the Soviets. Playing against live opponents, I do it all the time. And I will see my opponents very often overkill on the garrison because they want to make sure they take the hex. Yeah, I think I have to do that. I think I have to put him there. The real reason for doing that is if he doesn't overkill, let's say he just tries to go after me with just the guards unit. See, this guards unit's going to want to attack here, right? 1, 2, 3. This guy... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 6, 7, 8, 9. So he's got to come up with somebody to clear that space so he can get a 3-hex attack on the armored unit. And he have a decent attack with airplanes and heavy artillery and whatever he's going to use, right? So this just makes him have to spend a unit somewhere to do that, and he doesn't have a lot of spare units. He's got 1. This one guy is his spare unit. So I think it's worthwhile to do the sacrifice. And if somehow we get a 6-1 split in our favor, then his whole offensive towards Kiev kind of falls apart, and he just takes his hex rows to the south, pushing on Depnostric into southern Dnieper, which I fully expect him to breach, probably in July. It's July there, August in front of Romanian border, September behind the Prut and the Danube, and Easter and the Bug. That's where I'll be, somewhere along this line down here, where my mouse is scrolling around here. That's where I expect to be sometime in September to try and hold back the Soviet offensive, preferably on the cold side of the line, so that I have a better chance of getting poor weather and not getting trounced. This is all a fine balanced timing issue. I really don't care what the Allies do in the Med. Really, really don't care, because they've got 4 armies doing it, and 4 armies there means that's 4 less armies that are running around in France. Now, oftentimes you'll only see 6 armies, or maybe a 7th army coming through southern France, because you've got somebody, they're trying to forge their way up the Italian boot. That's what historically happened. Two Allied armies were mucking about here, and then they pulled one out and went into Marseille. That was the American contingent, and that made the Germans kind of fall back anyway, because they had to protect this whole nonsense up here. They were short units. But we don't have Vichy in the war. I'm not likely to declare war on Vichy, because believe it or not, a shorter front right here actually helps the Western Allies, because this right here, there's a very short window here for him to do any kind of flanking with the Spanish, so I can guard that with like 1 unit. And the rest coming across here, all my air can be based in England, and we can forge from England 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like all the way up to the Antwerp line, without having to supply our airplanes on the continent. So we can get like through Paris and all the way into Antwerp with aircraft based in England. And then once we get that far, then we have to start bringing aircraft over, obviously, to help do things. Okay, I think I'm done with the Germans. How long was that? Half an hour? Yeah, I've been at this a while, haven't I? I'm going to leave the voluntary elimination phase on in case I missed something. I am definitely not declaring war on anything. I think maybe in the last turn, if I'm still alive in 1945, whatever neutrals are left, I will have the Germans declare war on them in like July of 1945, just so we can say everybody got in the war. Well, let's do the easier ones. Apply all that. Do I have anybody that's out of supply? One of the reasons why you do that is it makes it easier to look at. Now, if I had somebody here that didn't even have one of these little boxes, just had said absolutely no supply, I would go look at them and see if they have like a convoy or something that they can trace through. And if they couldn't trace through a convoy, then I would say, uh-oh. And you know what I did? I screwed up. I most definitely screwed up with the Italians. Because I left the guy in Tunis, and he's going to be at low supply. Because I don't have... I was thinking about going 1-2, giving him Tunis, but I really don't want to give him Tunis. Let him attack. I don't care. Okay. So the armored unit... How does this work? He can intercept me here with the Mediterranean fleet. It is poor weather down here, so I think we're going to go ahead and say we're going to do the German armored unit's going to go through here. Use the convoy. Go ahead and escort. What else have I got better to do? Italian Navy is just kind of mucking about here. And then we're going to go here, We're going to go here, and then we'll go on to Germany. Confirm the naval path. It is poor weather, but that's the whole reason the dang fleet is there, is to try and force him to take sorties. He could throw in submarines, but I'm saving that for strategic warfare, so no, thank you. He gets through the airplane, he gets through the fleet. Now he's going to go in here. He's only at a +1, or a -1 rather. To my minus ridiculous. And he succeeded. Okay. So now I am -2 + 2. So I'm +2 for the British, -2, -2. So now best I can get is a 4. So -4 for sorties and weather and +2. So -2. The best I can get is a 4. I have one more left in there, so what the heck? If I go here, use the convoy, confirm the escort. Won't be able to do that next turn, but come summertime, I'm not really worried about it. Trying to corral the British advances here. Now, if I intercept again with the British, I would be at minus... Well, we'll show you as an example of how this probably won't work. So he's a -2 to a -6, right? And it worked, all right? But now, I'm a -3, which means I need to get a 6 to stop this guy. And I didn't get it. Did bring them up to, they're both at 6 sorties, but the supply got through. And that's the idea of that's what poor weather is all about. And then I have to go up here and run this supply up. God. I have to run the supply actually into a German city, and he's supplied for another turn. Now, next turn, I may just say to heck with all of this side of Libya and like run all the way back to El Galia if the British try to press. If the British don't try to press, then this armored unit may come back and threaten to take back factories. So he's got to do something in the west. It's fair weather up here. Does he have... Oh, God. Come on, move. Oh, it won't move the supply box. How annoying. It won't move the supply box. Okay, I have absolutely no way of stopping him from invading here. Just can't do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the Nor infantry. It's just going to go ahead and stay at limited supply. But then I'm going to... These two I'm going to... The reason why I'm leaving him, he's a 0 and he's a 0. And I'm going to leave the airplane at full. The zeros, if I throw in an... it's poor up here, so he's probably not going to invade here. It is fair here, so maybe I should do it the other way around. Yeah, I'll do it the other way around. Just going to supply the 2 units, the airplane and the Nor. The airplane can get totally smoked by aircraft carrier strikes because that's fair weather zone. And there's nothing I can do about it. I just have to, grin and bear it. Which is fine. It means he used a surprise attack marker somewhere up there, which is fine by me. I can't really stop an invasion of Norway. He's got a free hex in taking Bergen. I can make him not be able to take Stavanger, because then that helps keep me in supply by having him in supply. So that's why I'm doing that. If he really wants to attack in poor weather at Trondheim, he'd be +3. I would be -4, because he could throw his partisans on me. He'd probably take the hex. That'd be fine and dandy, because before he can do anything, I can rail that German infantry unit back to block his path to Oslo, and then shift some garrison units or whatever into Denmark and stuff. And if he wants to go the northern route through the summer of 44, I'm more than happy to let him attack me from the flanks if he's not going to go through France, because France is where it will eat up a lot more ground units than these others Takes a couple ground units in Norway. It takes maybe 3 in Italy. So, you know, fine. Go right ahead. Be my guest. Far less number of units that I have to commit to the defense. And if he wants, you know, at the end of 44, he might get off free invasions of France because I won't have anything over there. But I won't care. Because now I'm playing for, you know, I have to live for 7 turns or whatever. I don't care if he gets into France and starts destroying my economy. As long as I hold on to the cities, I end up winning the game. He doesn't have a choice. This guy can actually go to limited supply this turn. Because he's in the poor weather zone, right? Yeah, he's in the poor weather zone. He doesn't have anybody lined up. This guy's got to go to limit supply. He can go to limit supply. I want to leave him at full because this guy could invade. And at -4, even though he's a -3 plus 2 for the guys, and you could maneuver an airplane in there and become plus what, 1, 2, 3 for a tank, and then -1, 2, 3. He could attack me like a -1 to a -4. He could actually force a retreat. So we're going to go ahead and let him stay at full supply. So this guy here is the only one that I have to do things with, right? So I have to do this fleet. What a pain. He's going to do himself. He's at 6 sorties. Firm the naval path. No thank you. I'm already at 4 sorties. I don't need to do this. Alright, and then there's this guy here. We're going to let him go. Keep him at full supply. Low supply, low supply. And then I was going to let him go to low supply too to try and preserve some sorties for next turn. Yeah, I think that's right. I think that's the way to do it. Okay, there we go. Supply is done. The West gets to do their thing. And they're like, they ran away. They ran away. And ran away in such a good way that it's really... If I go here and fail to push that armored unit, I have a problem. Sir. I suppose I can just do the assault here and see if I get him to be pushed out, right? See if I get the port. Or I can play conservatively and back up and say, no, 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 I'm not going to let him get me out of supply next turn. Because I know I'll have fair weather next turn. Right? Huh. So I have the British. I have all 3 surprise attack markers in my pocket. I have no one in the Med really set up to do any major invasions. You can't get to Tobruk. Oh. This is poor, so I could get myself up to a -1. -1 for the city, -1 for the weather, -1 for myself. It'd be +3, -3, plus an armored unit would be plus -2, and he is -4. -2 to -4 to try and take Baghdad. Is it worth the points to spend? See, I can't really move in here and take Aleppo, because if I do, he could move this guy to here, and then he would have me isolated. And we know it's going to be fair next turn, so that's not a good idea. Not a whole lot of good choices here, are there? Let's see, he's -2. And +1 for armor, +1 for American, plus an airplane is +3, -2. I'd be a +1 to a -2. Can I talk him into using his armor? Well, let's see if we can do it. In for a penny, in for a pound, right? Could throw in free forces, but I think I'm going to need that somewhere else. So I'm just going to throw in the airplane. Italians have to look to the east. They have, this guy is massively exposed. And I really want to have him physically on the map over there, so I'm not going to use my tanks against the Americans. I'm going to use my tanks against the Soviets. So, no, I'm not going to commit. Commit. You got to defend a retreat. I only have one place to go. That'll make me isolated, but I don't care. We want to take that city because now we have a port that we can do. We can do the shuffle if we need to. I can shuffle over these guys to here, these guys to here. The Italian Navy is a shambles right now in the Mediterranean. Even here at Gibraltar, it's up to 5 sorties, so we don't have to worry too much about any of that. Italians can still, run back here if they want to. But at this point, I don't really care. Because I have fair weather coming next turn. I could run around here and hit my airplane. That could be embarrassing. So I'm going to go ahead and put that there. So, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Well, I messed up. The Italians could have been pounding on that American Air Force. Huh. Italians could have pounded on my Air Force. I didn't realize that. Well, let's go pound on the Italian Air Force then. Might as well. They're just going to pound on me back. But every sortie you get off of them is one more sortie you don't have to face. What do we do with the British? Do I go ahead and do this, or do I try to pull off a... Whoa, what's that? What did I just do? Sorry about that. Should probably have this in full screen mode instead of windowed mode. Ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. Do I try to do an invasion? I'm just so sure the Germans are just going to pound me back into the sea. But if they spend their July pounding me back into the sea, that should give the Soviets a completely free... Yeah, we got to try it, I guess. All right, first up, American surprise attack marker here, in Sea Zone 7. Put it in Sea Zone 7. Doesn't have any airplanes. It does have surface action and submarine. Okay. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to get the first army into Brest. 1, 2, 3. So we're going to use the airdrop marker. There. Now, do I want to invade adjacent, or do I want to just go straight in? Either way, I get the minuses. If I go straight in, I don't get a second chance if I fail. If I go to one of the sides and I fail, then I can land on the other side to try and force him to retreat. I get a second attack. But I really want to take Brest, Nets, and Karuna all in one turn. I think we're just going to go head on. Now, if the Germans are going to intercept, this is probably the best place to intercept because this is a -1. However, they also have fighter command, escorting. Fighter command is a +3 against, or +2 against my my surface action, who's only a +1. So I have to fight through the fighter, then I have to fight through the fleet, then I can hit the convoy. By the time I get to the convoy, assuming I won the first two, I'm at a -1, and he's at a 0. He's -2 for convoy, +2 for British. And the other ones are going to be escorted by carriers, aren't they? Yeah, the other two guys that can invade are going to be escorted by carriers, so they're going to even be harder. So this is my best shot at trying to intercept the invasion if I want to try and stop the invasion. And my really big fear was invasion of the Soviets. No, I think this is the time that we spend it. We'll try it. What the heck? I have to click on a friendly port. We'll intercept out of Antwerp. Escort selected. So I'm going to make him fight my airplane first because he can't use his subs with that. See, I'm a +2 and he's a +1. So we commit. We got a 1-1, so we get by him. And we continue with our invasion. He could intercept me with a -5 Italian fleet. I've actually seen people do this, and I'm like, what are you doing? Even if you win somehow, which you can't do at -5, best you can get to 1. But I've seen people do it with like a -3 fleet. It's like, well, I could roll a 6 and I'd get your fleet. It's like, yeah, but you can't get the convoy because now you're at -4 and best you can get to 2. It's a waste of sorties. So, no, we're done. And then we go ahead and go in here. Now we're going to add stuff. Right now we're a +3. We're going to throw in this fighter. So now we're a +5 to his 0. He's probably going to throw his tanks here. I could throw in my free forces to try and make sure. It seems like the thing to do. +6. And he's definitely going to throw in this. This is more to try and keep me from getting a DE than it is anything else for the Germans. So we confirm. And we commit. And I got a no effect. He rolled a 9 and I rolled an 8, so I stopped him from being able to take me out of Brest, which changes what we do next. I can't invade into Brest this turn. So we're going to have to play another surprise attack marker. But I don't have a choice. It has to go. I wish he wouldn't do that. It's automatic. You don't have a choice on rebasing the fleet. It has to go back where it came from. Oh. So that kind of changes things up a little bit. All right, we're going to have to put the first French in there, which means we need another surprise attack marker. Put it in C Zone 7. Sky. Naval transport. Amphibious invasion. I only need Force H because he's got nothing to attack me with. Confirm escort. We'll attack from here this time. No, he's not gonna. We're gonna land here. We need to take that city because we need the port. Use that one. So we're +5 to 0. And all we got was a DR, which means he's going to be able to beat the you-know-what out of me. We'll just put the fleet there for support, supply support. So that kind of messes up what I wanted to do, because I really wanted to take Brest and Nantes and Corona. If I would have taken all three of those, I would have cut down his strategic warfare by 2 next turn, and I can start to try and chip away at his factories. But I think now I need to try and preserve that beachhead, which means landing in C Zone 8 at Nantes and seeing if I can hold on to everything. He's a 0. I would be +5 to 0, and it would save my partisans for next turn. But it uses up my third surprise attack marker. Well, I almost have to do this, otherwise he just comes in with armor and just pounds the living crap out of me here. When does he get his... And he gets his heavy artillery back in August. So I don't have to face that for one turn, but yeah, I guess we've got to do this. I really hate to use up all three of these in this turn, but I've got to. C Zone 8. Naval transport, amphibious invasion, escort, confirm escort. We're going to invade immediately into Nantes. No more interceptions. We're going to throw that airplane in. +5 to 0. Probably should have thrown the partisans on there to guarantee it. And I eliminated him, so I don't have to worry about him. We want to advance into the hex. And then we're going to rebase to this space. Okay, so the guys in the bay in here can't be supported by like armor just running up here. He's got to go through Patton first. I've got this airplane will have 2 sorties on it. This one will have 0. This one will have 0. So I'm going to have like 6, 10 sorties worth of aircraft to support these 2 spaces. Hopefully we can hang on and then have enough sorties to actually try and do a minor breakout, if at all possible. Okay. all the surprise attack markers are used up, which means the Germans don't have to worry about any kind of invasions anymore. So for at least 4 turns. So not until October will I be able to invade again. So that's a plus for them. And they also don't have to worry about a major offensive marker until October either. Which means they can contain and shift things off to the west. If they don't stop me here, they can shift over an airplane or two to the east. Because they don't have to worry about a lot of invasions now. This could be, I don't know. This is going to be instructive for you. I'm going to show you how the Germans can try to annihilate this beachhead before it can become anything. We'll see if it works. Do I want to go ahead and run this bomber? Let's see, what has he got? He's got 24 left. So he's going to have more than enough to go 3, 6, 9, plus any flip the units and things and rebuild his infantry. He's got more than enough. Question is whether it's worth it for me to go ahead and just move this up here, or do I do this? I move him down here to Southampton. And the reason why I'm doing that is that, okay, he will now become 3 sorties on him, so I'm going to have just a whole ton of air power trying to protect those American units. This American unit really can't do anything at this point because I don't have convoys to move people in and out. Yeah, I'm really stretched for convoy support here. What's the British got? British have still got their 36 left. Because they haven't used any ground units yet. The question is do I bother? Three, 6, 9. 12. Let's go up to England again. 12. Have to forego bomber command. No, 12 and 4 is 16. I could rebuild it right away and just not do anything. With poor weather in the Med, I think I'm just going to, seriously, I'm not going to do anything with the British. Absolutely nothing. Pretty sure. It's because those American convoys. Yeah, we're not going to do anything. We're done. We are absolutely done. Okay, we'll do the easy one. Alright, we know how this goes. Use convoy. Confirm escort. Actually, no, not confirm escort. Undo. 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 Oh, I don't want to do that. I want to undo. I want to undo. And I want to undo. I want to go back to my move. I have something to do here. Yes. And then we hit him again. Okay. Now he is -4 for sorties and -2 for the weather. So he's -6. then he would be a +3. So if he rolls a 6, he can stop one of my supply traces. So let's see if we can talk him into rolling a 6. Oh, no. No more sorties. Yes, I know. Now we pass. Am I going to want to voluntarily eliminate anything? I'm not sure. Confirm. Do the easy one. Let's do the American airplane through here. Use convoy. And I'm not going to escort. And say, what do you say? All right, this guy could go out there and give me 1 sortie and go up to 6. And this guy could go out there and possibly give me 2 sorties, which would take me up to 4. And then he wouldn't be able to hurt me anymore. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to entice him to get into a position where he can't stop my supply from the other sorties. It's not likely I'm ever going to get this Italian fleet down, because I'm going to spend 9. I have to do both convoys and the airplane so that I can try and mitigate the American aircraft and protect Tripoli. So I'm not going to be able to bring down a fleet unless I give up on one of my convoys. Yeah, we're just... And just try and get as many sorties on it as we can. Yeah, we didn't get our 6. Okay. And he goes on his merry way. Now we'll put him through the same place. And at this point, I can't make any good interceptions anymore, so I'm just going to say I'm done. Go ahead. Because I'm not going to use... this airplane could get off 1 hit. He's -5 for sorties, -2 for the weathers. That's -7 +2. So he's a -5. Best he can get's a 1. It's pointless. You're not going to add any extra sorties to him by intercepting. So it's just a waste of your resources, and I don't really have anything else that I can do. So I can just do this, and then it'll make my supply a little bit easier and a whole lot faster. God damn. So he's done. He would go up by 2. He would go up by 1. He goes up by 1. He goes up by 4. Why does he go up by 4? Because I'm in port save. Oh, God bless it. Really hate it that he will not recognize Port Said in the game. Port Said is not considered a supply source, or a port, or whatever in the game terms. It has something to do with how he calculates doing movement through the Suez Canal or something. So you actually have to do, anyone you want to supply out of this port, you have to do manually. It's very annoying. Okay. What's it look like now? He gets 2. He gets 1. He gets 2. And he gets 1. Yep. Supply everybody. Supply everybody. And we're into the Soviet phase. So it's poor weather everywhere. So we are going to try guess he'd be a 2. So it'd be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Do I really want to push the armor, or do I want to keep on pushing the infantry? I think we'll see how we do over here first. They don't have their tanks left, so they really don't have any support, so I can just do what I want here. Yeah, we're definitely going to attack this Italian. We're +6. His +1. Confirm. Commit. No effect. I rolled a 1 with the Soviets, and he rolled a 6. A 1-6 split against me. The Italians hold. Oh, that's hilarious. I'm sorry. That to me is just hilarious. The Italians held where the Germans have been giving ground all day. Every German unit I put in there has retreated or been eliminated. I had a garrison there once, I think, that got eliminated or whatever. It's like everybody I put there fails. The Italians hold. That's just funny as heck for me. All right, we're going to see if we can push a line here. Don't think I'm going to push the line here. I think I'm going to just try and encircle it, force it to withdraw that way. So he's going to... Oh, I don't want to do that. No, I have people to add. I have important people to add to this. Sir, So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 minus 1 is +5. Do I want to throw in I throw in not heavy artillery, but tanks in here, right? Because I want to make sure I take this hex. I want to push him for sure. So I'm going to throw tanks, and we've been using up the guy in Kursk. Always get him up to 4. Well, maybe I should spread it out a little bit. I've got lots of points. Let's not use him. Let's use the 4th. I haven't used the 4th in a while. So +6 to +2. I got my retreat. Now the question is do I take it with an armored unit and put myself out there in the front to be whacked on? Or do I take this so that I can move this guy? This guy's going to move around here to get a 4th attack. Yeah, I'm not going to try and get to the armored unit. I'm just not going to make it. So we're going to go ahead and move him forward. And we're going to take this guy. We're going to move here. We're going to attack here. So this will only be +5. +5 to +2. And we didn't get him. Rolled a 2. So the Soviets are not doing well, to say the least. Well, we should probably try and get rid of the Yugoslav down here. Took a 3-hex attack there that failed. All I've got is 2-hex attacks anywhere else. Not sure I want to put my armored unit in here. Is the problem. See, I need to spend 15 on my airplanes, possibly. Well, not even that. I have no one to build this turn. Poor weather makes it really hard for me to do anything. +1, 2, 3, +2. Well, what the heck. Let's just kind of see what we get here. Oh, let's just... This is really pointless. I could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Be +5 to +3. It's not worth it. Let's just go here. So right now I'm +3 to his -2. I'm not going to commit anything. Oh, I can commit the second air. I'm +4 to his -2. I'm not going to waste my ground support here. I'm going to wait when I'm having to defend like a guy that can lose me willpower. I rolled another 1. The Yugoslavs held. I mean, it's sad from the Soviet point of view, but oh my goodness. The Italians and the Yugoslavs are holding. The Germans are giving ground. This is hilarious. I'm sorry. This is, to me, is just hilarious. The Russians are down to 24. They're down now to making like silly attacks. To just try and roll the dice. I could throw the heavy artillery down here to kill this Turk. Right? I'd be 1, 2, 3, minus 1, 2, 3. So it'd be 0 to 0. Not going to use a surprise attack marker here. There's no good invasions. There's no aircraft I can pound on. Can I pound on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So he's out of range from my most forward unit. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, Brest was the right place to put that German aircraft because it can't be reached by the Russians. Or by the Soviet, I should say. You know, I'm really kind of out of things to do. Don't have a lot of tanks markers. Don't really want to waste my heavy artillery on anything here that's not, you know, I want to save the heavy artillery for like taking Kiev, which is a factory or something. Yeah, this was, oops. I managed to get 1 hex. I've taken exactly 1 hex. Kind of puts me in a good position because these guys really can't stay here in fair weather. They've got to basically back up a space at least, if not 2, which I might just start July along this line down through the Dnieper. Trying to think, should I go here? Then who do I move in there? Do I move the guards unit in there? To keep the armored unit from being able to withdraw and move around? Yeah, I think that's probably a good idea. I might end up losing the guards unit, but I think that might be the thing to do here. So he's a 1 + 1 or a 1 + 2. So we start with this guy. It's a 1 + 2. We throw in the airplane. +3 to +2. Let's see if we can get him to move. No effect. Okay. And now I'm down to 20. I've got 3, 6, 9, 12 there. So up to 8 more points of movement. 1, 2, 3. -1 would be +2 to +2. Yeah, I guess we try this one. It'd be better if he was on this side and this guards unit was on that side, but I don't have that luxury. See if we get away with this one. First air. Attack or attrition. Okay. So 12, 13. It'd be 1 plus 1 is 2, plus an airplane is 3. It'd be plus 2 to plus 2. And what do I get if I push there? I just get myself into a position where I get whacked on. I could be plus 2 to plus 2 here, and all I get into is a position that I can get whacked on. I'm done. Anything else I do, I just get into a position that I get whacked on, I think. Because up here I'd be minus 2 to his minus 2. You know, what's the point? Well, I suppose I can go for pure luck. He's not going to throw that in. We're both minus 2. Hey, pure luck. I took a hex inf. I took back my stuff. It's my stuff. I got my stuff back. My Karelia in the north. I have my Karelia in the middle. I just need the Karelia on the isthmus. And then I'll leave you alone, Finland. Just give me back my stuff that I took earlier. Germany's like, no, you can't have it. It's mine. Mine. Byberg's mine. All right. I really don't see anything else that's even worth rolling the die for. You know? So I'm just going to pass. I'm done. Keep the voluntary elimination in case I miss something. Is everybody in supply? Everybody's in supply. So do the Germans want to get rid of anything? Are there things that need to just be removed? Not that, not that. It would be like this convoy here, which doesn't make a lot of sense. This convoy, no. This fleet is like here, and that fleet's on the Atlantic. And I can't really afford to get them back, but I don't have any... I don't have any other... Nope. I guess I'm not going to eliminate anything. From the west standpoint, is there anything I really don't need to be? I don't think so. I don't think there's anything I need to get rid of here. Right? Oh, that's what I didn't do with the British. Oh no, there was a reason why I didn't take the pot shot in Baghdad. That's right. So no, I'm not going to eliminate anything. Soviets. I seriously thought about just getting rid of this convoy and rebuilding it in the Black Sea so there'd be a threat to taking Sevastopol. But it's a little late. If I'd have done that earlier, I'd been okay. So we're not going to eliminate anything in there. All right, replacements for the Axis. Definitely doing the air. Definitely doing that convoy because he's got more sorties. This convoy would be unescorted. I could do a fleet. Like the fleet on the Atlantic. Which would give me a chance to give him extra sorties when he's doing supply. If I do this fleet, it's kind of pointless because he's not on a convoy that can be escorted. Or I could just do this convoy in order to make him spend his sorties on my stuff. Then I don't have any fleet threats at all. Well, -4 Italian fleet's really not a threat anyway. But -4 now. At the end of August, it'd be -2. And the end of September, it'd be full. Huh. There's an interesting thought. Do I want to keep contending in the middle of the Med? Or out in the Atlantic? Well, let's do the Germans. He's definitely a point. He gets his back. He gets his back. He gets his back. He gets his back. Germans are easy. They still have 11 left to build their guy and still have 10. I don't know what to do. Because I moved that one Italian to break open, and then he held his ground. So now I'm at a quandary of, do I take one of the fleets? Well, if you're going to take one of the fleets, you probably would take this one. In the hopes that the following turn you can get this convoy down and then be able, well, he's going to... I hate this. Don't know what to do, don't know what to do, don't know what to do. One of the Atlantic has long-term more threat. Do the one on the Atlantic. I don't know, it's probably wrong. Okay, easy ones. US, 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 US. Okay, that was easy. Now for the British. This one. Ta-da. 3, 6, 9. Now it's either this aircraft or the other aircraft. Well, Germans brought down their aircraft, so I guess I have to do this one. Protect the fleets for supply stuff. And if I want to just give up Tangiers and just retreat off. I think if I broke through and managed to take out Libya, then I would just give up this side of North Africa. I wouldn't care anymore. Because I'd be able to supply out through the Suez Canal and stuff. So if I can get the Americans down here and the British to come over this way and like take this out, then that'll be my 2 armies here, and then the 3rd army that's over there is one too many armies, but maybe I can transport them back for late summer, early fall offensives into France. I'll have to see. All right, so I'm down to, I have 4 left, and I was going to do Bomber Command. Where is he? Where is he? Oh, I was going to do the Med Fleet so that he threatens the Italians, but the Italians don't have anything there, so I don't need to do Med Fleet. Oh, he was that one that was carrying him. So if he goes anywhere, he's just going to go into a port that I free up, and that'll just have to do. I think I want to do Bomber Command. Give me some more sorties. And I stop at 20. Hey, that's a magic number, isn't it? Soviets. Whoops, flip him. Whoops, flip him. A couple of whoopses. And then we go, I want one of those, and I want one of those, and I want one of those, and I want one of those. Got most of my air back. A couple have ones already on them, but pretty much I have all my air available for the upcoming fair weather turn. So July, I will have all my air. Upgrades. Now, I'm not going to get another upgrade till like the beginning of 1940, whatever. The question is just, do I want to do it now? Or do I want to do it later? I'm still not quite to the 52 I need to be at, am I? Yeah, I think I'm gonna wait till the line's a little bit thinner. Germans can mobilize. Yes, there's threats in the west, but I think I have enough to deal with them because I don't have to worry about invasions anymore until October, which means in September I have to get back on the ports, but right now I can just throw all sorts of stuff in front of the Western allies. In the east, I'm going to need more physical ground units. So that's what I'm going to do. Mobilization. Buy a surprise tack marker. Buy a surprise tack marker. Guess what? Buy a surprise tack marker. Ta-da. So all three of them are coming back in October. So if I get fair weather in October, things are going to get October and November, it's going to be very, very nasty in the west. Assuming that I get to stay on the continent. Okay, he's done. Soviets don't have anything to build, and we're done. So we're into July. It's fair everywhere, and this is where we're going to end up saying that we're done. Yeah, the poor weather is what saved the Axis lines in the Soviet Union. That's why the Soviets haven't gotten very far. No fair weather in May, no fair weather in June. Through April, it's always poor, so you tend to get about where I'm at with your poor weather hits. You know, you get a couple hexes here and a couple hexes there over 4 turns or whatever when you come back in the war in late 44, early 45, or early 44, late 43. December 43 on is when the Soviets can get in. I think I came in December with poor weather, and then we had a couple of severes. I think out of the 5 turns, I think I have 5. This is through June, so that's 6. I think I've been on the board 7 turns, and I think 4 of them have been severe. And severe is just totally detrimental to the Soviets because they can't use their advantages, their aircraft, their armor, their shock armies. All the stuff that gives them advantages in poor weather just doesn't work. Finally got a couple of poor weather turns, and I started to make some, I'm across the lines and pushing up on Dupnovstrik. I've got 3 fair weather turns now. Hopefully I'll break the Duna and the up. I've already broken the upper Dnieper. Most likely we'll break the lower Dnieper. It's just a matter of how far can I get in the summer. The German goal is to try and keep him on the cold region side of the weather line, because then there's only a 1 in 6 chance of getting fair in October and November. So if you can hold him on that side of the line for those die rolls, it means that he won't get really nice offensives off in the fall in case October and November come up fair. Same thing applies in the West. The West is going to have all fair weather for the next 3 turns. So they can do just about anything they want. So that's why this turn I didn't really do anything. Instead, I went ahead and rebuilt the surprise attack markers, so I will have it available at the end of 44 and going into 45 if necessary. The Americans will probably use theirs in October, November, no matter what, because they can rebuild them really quick. And then they'll use them, let's see, if they use it in October, they get it in November, December, January, February. If they use it in February, it would come back in March, April, May, June. So they can get like 2 uses out of their surprise attack markers. I don't think the British can afford the production points to get more than 1 more use out of there. The next one that comes up will be used to like be the telling surprise attack if necessary. We're going to see how the Germans do. I'm going to try and push the Allies back into the sea. I'm going to be facing massive amounts of American air power. That's why I have massive amounts of German air power. And we're just going to see if my air power can out air power his air power. We'll see how it works. Okay. Yeah. So if you like what you see, hit the thumbs up button. If you really like what you see, go ahead and subscribe. You'll be notified when I schedule another stream. I don't know when that's going to be. Real life is getting in my way. And why did you not retreat the German armies behind the river in southern Russia? Sound is low. Can you speak closer to the microphone, please? Oh, I didn't know my sound was low. It didn't say it was low on my recording. Sorry about that. Put that up a little bit, I guess. Answer your questions. with poor weather, it is better to defend on the other side and retreat to it. I had armies surrounded that I needed to get broken out. So, yes, now the sound is better. So, Ramon, Alzonzo, thank you for joining me. Yeah, the reason why they're not behind the river is because I go first in the fair weather turn, and I have a coherent line that I can just set the line wherever I want. I had to break out the 3rd Panzer, this thing here. My attacks, this guy here was one of the ones that I broke out. And in this infantry unit, the Italians pushed forward. I expected the Russians to push the Italians back, but they failed. So now I actually can get this German infantry out. So I can actually redress my line into a fairly secure line with possibly 1 or 2 extra reserves, because I have this guy coming, and I have an infantry unit in Königsberg that can come up and be a reserve. So I will have, in the July turn, I will have a fairly straight line, and I will have reserves. I will not have air. The air is going to be busy trying to kick the Americans out of France. We're going to see if that works. And if they don't, they should be able to at least severely handicap the Americans from being able to do anything as far as doing a major breakout or anything like that. And as long as I can keep doing that, if I can contain the Americans, then in midsummer, you'll probably see a couple airplanes suddenly shift over to the east because it won't matter anymore because poor weather's coming. And then those airplanes will probably be the telling blow that will slow down the Russians, because the Russians are going to have to use a lot of air power to break through German armies. It's just the way it is. Germans with their natural +2s almost require the Russians to use aircraft to get by them every time, unless they can get them isolated. And I don't plan on giving them too many opportunities to get full isolation. So the rivers are nice, but they do not help. Remember, the Russians have partisans. Partisans basically mean the river is pointless. It's only a -1. If you take away the natural +2 of the Germans, then they're like a +1 army, and you're attacking with a guard's tank and an airplane. That's +5 -1 for the river to a 0. Because the Germans don't get the plus, you get the minus. So plus, +4 to 0. Okay, I'll take +4 to 0 instead of +5 to 0. Most likely going to force a retreat. Then I'm across the river, and now I start attacking in every which way direction at +5 to whatever I'm hitting. So yeah, you got to keep in mind that they have partisans, which means that at some point, wherever they so choose, they're probably going to say, this is where I'm making my breakthrough, and there's not a lot you can do about it, unless you commit all the German air. And if you commit all the German air over here, not good. Oh, I wrote it down for other people. People that come and view this later, they would just see you there. Some people don't actually listen to the sound. They just kind of watch what's going on. They don't actually listen to me talk. So I just kind of put it in there to remember what I said to you. That's why I did that. Yeah. So yeah, this is sort of the end game. We're going into the end game this final summer here. If the Soviets can manage to pull off a breakthrough and get across the weather line before October, that's their goal. The weather line over here in the east. They want to be in mild zone for the end game. My problem is I kind of fell into my own trap that the Germans usually set for the West. I fell into the trap. I got lucky and got in at Suez, and then I overcommitted to North Africa without any real chance of taking out Italy early in late 43 or whatever. I really didn't have a chance to do that. So I overcommitted, and I've got like all 3 British armies are down here along with an American army. And that's bad because there's just You know, yeah, I'll probably kill myself an Italian army here, whoopee, and you know, the Americans can probably move down here or whatever. With the Italians, I really don't care at this point. You know, uh, I know it sounds harsh, but in terms of the game, Germany has to survive. If the Allies are going to spend all of 1944, the game's going to end in July 45. The Allies are going to spend 1944 running around trying to knock out the Italians and maybe the Turks. Okay. You're not doing a lot in France then, because not all of your forces here, only part of it. Maybe half your forces here in France. I can deal with half the Allied forces because your aircraft are not going to be, the British aircraft are not supporting anything. There's no British units to support. It's got to be all American aircraft, which means the German aircraft is going to concentrate on American aircraft. It's not going to care about the British aircraft. It wants to stop the American aircraft from interfering with what they're trying to do. So you're going to see all these German aircraft come flying into France. There's going to be 4 of them there. They'll have 1 or 2 sorties when they start, but then they're just going to start pounding on like fleets and convoys. They can do that to cut off the supply for the next turn, or they can you know, to support the attacks of the armored units and stuff. I'm going to have I'm going to have isolated attacks on both Nantes and Brest. And I didn't lose my +2 in strategic warfare because I still have Corona. So the first invasion that failed at Brest was the big one. If that one had worked, if that one had worked, then the second invasion would have been at Nantes, and then the third invasion would have been against the Spanish at Corona. And that invasion at Corona was not so much to try and conquer Spain or anything like that. It was to take away a +2 on the strategic warfare table, because I would have he wouldn't have any ports on C Zone 7. So that was what that was all about. Didn't work out that way, so now we're going to see if I can pull it off. Okay. And I think we're going to go ahead and call it here. Hope you guys enjoyed it all. Thank you for joining me. Ramon? I do recommend, if you're trying to learn the game, I do recommend playing the BGA version. It's got like 95% of the rules down. There's a couple, there's some tricky things with repatriation that doesn't quite do it right. We're still trying to work that one out. And you got to watch out for some of the amphibious invasion stuff. Like when you want to play some Mulberry, there's been a recent issue that I think we have fixed, but we don't know. I mean, there's a few little minor things that I don't think take away from the majority of the rules. So it's a very good way to learn the game, especially if you go through the scenarios. You know, the learning scenarios that are in the playbook, just play those on BGA, solo or with a friend, swapping sides so you both get an idea of how things work. And you will find out very quickly that it's not, once you figure out the BGA interface, you're fine with how you can learn all the mechanics of the game. And then if you want to go back to the board game or the vassal module, you can go do that, which allows you to, you know, tinker with the rules if you want. BGA will not let you tinker with the rules. The rules are the rules are the rules. And it's kind of annoying sometimes when you're doing supply, where if you're using the vassal module, you can just just tell your opponent, okay, I'm going to escort every one of my convoys. Your opponent will say, as long as you run up the fleet escort points, you know, the sorties for them, then I'm not going to bother to intercept. As long as there's a fleet escorting, you're fine. And you just run up the counters and you're done. You can't do that in BGA. You actually have to do the supply runs each and every time because the computer has to enforce the rules. And so it can get a little tedious, as you saw there where I was trying to do my supply. It's like, yeah, I have one sortie left on the airplane, and it kept on telling me, you can intercept, you can intercept. I was like, no, I can't do anything to it. So I had to finally say, no, I'm not going to do any more interceptions just to avoid that. But then that means that they don't have to use their fleets as well for escorting. It only matters when you get to the point where it's like you could actually affect it, but you're not going to. But you make him have to do escorts every time just to make him run up sorties on fleets and things, especially British fleets. You want British fleets to run up sorties because they're expensive. The British have a limited number of production points. United States fleets and stuff, You can run them up all the sorties you want. They're just going to get back 2 sorties no matter what you do, as long as they're in supply. All right. Okay. So I need to stop this. I'm rambling on. And until we meet again, stay safe and bye-bye.